What's up? What's going on? Make sure that light ain't all in the way. There you go. It's like the sun is behind me or whatever. Shine your light on me. You know what I'm saying? Shine a light on you too. And this is Al Achad coming back through. Again, holography. The whole writing of the arts and sciences as one educational discipline by me, Al Achad, available now at holographer.com/the-book. So today, um, just want to go over some, you know what I'm saying, trying to keep this video around 20 minutes or whatever. I'm just relaxing, lounging, you know what I'm saying, speaking to you as if me and you was drinking to, I don't know how you like to drink your liquor on the rocks or, you know what I'm saying, straight up or whatever. But yeah, man, let's talk about how you're actually viewing me right now. You know what I'm saying? How would you describe what you're seeing on your screen right now? Because you have to be watching this on the screen, right? You know, whether it's your computer screen, laptop screen, um, iPad, tablet. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, probably your phone or whatever. Let's go into how you're actually viewing me as I'm speaking in any other videos you ever see me in, or any other video you've ever watched in your entire life. Actually, you know what I'm saying? This screen that you're seeing me on is made up of what's called, or it's sectioned into what's called pixels, right? Pixels is a shortened term for picture elements. Now, the keyword element, I want you to make sure that you keep that forefront of your attention span because that's what we're going to get into. And it was a term pixel that was first, I'm reading off my computer screen here. It was first, published or at least made public back in 1965. And it was used to describe the picture elements of, scanned images, in outer so-called space or whatever. But they have used this term now to describe the actual pieces or sections of the screen as you're watching a video on it. So, for example, your phone is like the screen of your phone is is a grid, right? And on that grid is pixels and rows and columns. So for any image to appear on the screen right now, there has to be a sharpness of that pixel. The pixel has to be small enough for the sharpness of the picture that you're watching now. So you know what I'm saying? So if you go back into like, the 60s, 70s, and 80s, those pixels or those picture elements on that screen were larger. So that's why you get what's called pixelation now, where it's like it's just you're making characters and things on the screen with these large blocks. So it's a style now. Like for example, if you're familiar with the game, what's it called, Minecraft, and you know how it's block like, say all the figures and settings are block like. So that's what the videos used to look like. Like old video games and computers, those picture elements or pixels were large like that. But now, as time goes on and then technology advances, they get smaller and smaller and smaller. So whenever you're dealing with resolution of a camera or a screen, like for example, you may have a TV screen, a flat screen where the resolution is 1080p. Have you ever heard of that term 1080p or 1080i? That's describing the fineness and the smallness of how many pixels are on your television screen. So if you can get more and more pixels on that screen and making them smaller and smaller and smaller, the sharper the picture is. So you ever heard of like 4K? Some of these videos that you're watching on YouTube, or some of them are in 4K. And that's because like the pixel that is being used for you to watch an image on the screen is small enough to get the finer and finer details of the picture. You know what I'm saying? Like now you can see, the actual acne on a person's face and you ain't even got to be up close to them. Like that's how sharp the resolution is on that camera and that screen. But now we need to take that to a greater level or higher level of understanding. Pixel actually, is kind of like a representation of, and that would be, it's right there in the word element. So now if we also start talking about particle physics, photons, atoms, electrons, subatomic particles like leptons, quarks, and everything, what you're really getting, there's a connection, there's a correlation between the, elements, picture elements on your screen, and this whole physics science of particles and atoms, electrons, protons, and neutrons. You see what I'm saying? So that means, like, for example, right now, if you're looking at your hands and arms, or your shirt, or a glass or something right next to you right now, you can kind of view that as it being made of picture elements. So just using your, like, for example, your eyes are able to um, create these picture elements and process them within your mind. You know what I'm saying? Just on some basic, neurology, neuroscience. So that would mean the atoms that are supposedly making up all these physical items that you can see, touch, smell, and hear, or perceive, are made up of these picture elements, or pixels, that you in this modern world would call atoms, protons, neutrons, photons, and electrons. But I would say that the photon, this picture element of light, is most correlative to the actual pixels on your screen right now. So the photon and the pixel are one and the same as far as their relationship to the greater, image that you're actually seeing when you see something. So for example, my book, free promotion, or, any chance to get promotion out to you about my book, you know what I'm saying? But if you look at this book, this is would be made up of photons. That's the picture element. That's the pixel that makes this up. Now, some people, again, they're saying that this is made of atoms or molecules or whatever, but that photon, or that light element, is most like, the actual pixels on your phone, computer screen, tablet, or whatever, your TV, anywhere where you have this resolution of pixels. You know what I'm saying? So that understanding brings us into, like I said, the alchemy of this, because as an alchemist, and you can see this in chemistry, there was always this aim of getting to the most smallest, minute element of an object. So, what is the basic building block of any object, right? Because again, if you're looking at me on the screen, the smallest basic building block would just be the pixels. And with every pixel on your screen, it can change color. It could also change intensity and luminosity. But no matter what color it changes to, or no matter what level of luminosity is, or light is shining through it, it remains the pixel, right? Tell me if I'm wrong. Now, that is a surefire way to start understanding alchemy. Because what an alchemist does is, we're looking for the most minute, it's part of alchemy. It's the most minute element that creates everything else. So just sticking to this screen, this image of me that you're seeing of my apartment, my book, see that, my book right there, pop right there, and the light of the room, and then the light outside, all what you're really seeing is just pixels. You know what I'm saying? But as I'm moving, the pixels don't have to move. The pixels only have to change color. So you see, I'm on this side of the screen, but then I'm on this side of the screen, right? So there's the illusion of movement. But what's really happening is that the pixels on this side of the screen, for you watching it, are changing colors. They're changing luminosity, intensity, to give you the illusion that there's movement on the screen. But the pixels can just stay still, right? So what if that's the same exact thing happening in your regular earthly life? So that means nothing is actually kind of truly moving. It's just that the photons creating this whole view of whatever you're looking at is just changing colors. It's changing luminosity. And what I mean by luminosity is that how dark and how light it is. You know what I'm saying? Because you can have two pixels, both of them are red, but they appear different because one is brighter than the other one. But we're getting into, like I said, it's all about trying to isolate that intestinal. What am I trying to say? It's infinitely small element that makes up everything else. So you're getting to that one true element, because if you can get there and if you can start operating from that point, you can create anything. You can, like I said, that's the hallmark of an alchemist, is be able to get down to that core picture element or photon or whatever, actually is the building block of this reality, or, this matrix, if you want to say that, and then be able to, control that, or what I'm saying, have sway over that, or what I'm saying, be able to manipulate that as you would just drawing on a piece of paper or painting on a canvas. You see what I'm saying? So picture element. Now this also brings us into one of the chapters that I have in this book here, entitled STUI, space-time user interface. Now I'm pretty sure some of you already know about that, because if you've been watching my channel that long. So on chapter 23 of my book, it's the space-time user interface, exploring the EDC model for physics and metaphysics. And EDC simply means etheric data compression. So in this chapter, I'm basically, and it was an essay that I had for a few years, and I decided to add it to my book here in the back. But STUI is space-time user interface. So where else do you have a user interface? You're looking at one right now. You're looking at a graphical user interface right now, as you're watching me on the screen. A GUI, or a GUI, some people call it that. It's a graphical user interface. So instead of dealing with the actual, ones and zeros and whatever other commands that you have in your command line of your computer, or the command prompt or terminal, you're dealing with a graphical user interface. Do you know where I'm going with this? So on the screen, these pixels represent that graphical user interface. Because without that graphical user interface, you would just be faced with what? Just the ones and zeros and whatever other commands that you find on a terminal, or a command prompt, or a command line of your computer. So why wouldn't that be the same setup or operation going on with your eyes and as you perceive the physical around you? Right? Because where does the idea come from to even create a device where you can watch me right now? You know what I'm saying? Whether this is you watching me on the live stream, or you watching this video as it's already been completed, you know what I'm saying? Where does the idea come from to even create such a technology? You know what I'm saying? Like, where does the idea come from? You know what I'm saying? Even if you, like, for example, if you was the inventor of this technology, where do you think the idea, like, where does the model of this come from? You know what I'm saying? So again, what if all this physical that you're experiencing is nothing but pixels? You're just in one, big ass grid with few dimensions. So for example, you have depth, you have width, and then you have length, or what I'm saying, is usually height, is usually three dimensions: height, width, and depth, right? So what if there's a pixel for each thing that you can perceive here in the physical? You know what I'm saying? So instead of focusing on atoms and, this whole particle physics, why don't we just deal with the photon? And the photon would be correlative or analogous to the pixels that you see on the screen right now. You know what I'm saying? So you're not even really viewing me. Obviously, you're not viewing me, up close in person. You're just viewing a image of me based on what the pixels of your screen right now is as they're showing those colors and levels of luminosity. That's all you're watching. So that means you're looking at an illusion of me, a simulacrum of me. You're not looking at the real me. You're looking at your pixels broadcasting an image that they're presenting to you. So to really look at the screen, you would have to actually turn this off, or I don't know, shut your phone off, or put your phone on sleep, or just lock it, and then you would be able to see just complete darkness, right? Because you're looking at a fine grid of pixels or picture elements that aren't shining any light, or there's no luminosity, there's no color there. It's just completely blank, completely black, right? So what if that's something you have to get to in your own experience with this physical reality? And then just by the color of it. So, for example, like I just said, if you were to turn your phone off or just hit the home button or whatever you're hitting to bring yourself, shut your phone down, and then you just click a button or you click your screen to, light it up again, it's complete dark. It's black. So now we have another connection to alchemy because the chem in alchemy has been traced back plenty of times to chem as it relates to darkness or blackness or the black land or the black people or black soil, whatever you want to say, because there's always that argument of what does chem actually refer to. The skin of those people back in ancient Egypt, the actual dirt, you know what I'm saying, like the material, like the you know what I'm saying, the earth, you know what I'm saying, like in saying black land. Or a third option is, what if it's talking about that pixel aspect where it has no light coming through, it has no luminosity, it's just a blank TV screen, it's just a blank phone screen, it's just a blank computer screen. So that would be, wouldn't that be your alchemy? Wouldn't that be what your alchemy is talking about? Because what is the, again, what is the actual element of the image that you're looking at? It's the pixel. So I'm pretty sure that my iPhone that I'm using this to do this live stream has 1080p resolution. So that means, like, it's able to give you that resolution because the pixels are small enough for it to give you that definition. So now you can see I'm starting to get gray in my beard, and you know what I'm saying, I'm looking distinguished. You know what I'm saying? Like a professor. I'll just need the pipe and the, you know what I'm saying, the plaid tweed coat and the, you know what I'm saying, the cap, you know what I'm saying, and a book, you know what I'm saying. I look studious and ready to give scholars their ticket out of here to graduate. You know what I'm saying? But without that sharp pixelation, you wouldn't be able to see that, right? So again, think of where the model of this computer screen or this phone screen comes from. Again, look out into the wild, look out into nature, look out into your room, wherever you're at as you're watching this. What if you're just looking at photons that are manipulated to look like physical objects? And they have varying degrees of intensity and luminosity. You know what I'm saying? Because now that brings us back to this chapter in my book talking about the space-time user interface. So really, the space-time continuum or the space-time dimension, this physical matrix reality, is what? It's just a user interface. No, it's just a user interface. Because without it, if you wasn't actually using your eyes and ears and whatever other physical sensory organ to process and, you know what I'm saying, perceive and process the physical, you know what I'm saying? So now you're going a step beyond it and dealing with that blackness. You're dealing with the pixels as they are not giving out a color or or a shape or any type of luminosity. That's the alchemy. So now contemplate and think about, why does your mind need this space-time user interface? And will you ever break free of it and go beyond the pixels and get into whatever operations or functions are beyond the, you know what I'm saying, manipulation and control of the way these pixels present an image to you? Because again, where do you get the idea to have a pixel? Where does the idea come from? You know what I'm saying? And you see how there's like a depth of field. Like, for example, these pixels are so sharp and resolute that it giving you the image that, this back patio door is in back of me. But if it wasn't sharp enough, it would look like you know, the door behind me is right on the same level of depth where I am, like right up close to the camera like that. So again, this is the realm of illusion with this, you know what I'm saying, um, image that you're seeing. Because you're not seeing me as I am in the physical, you're seeing a rendition image of me. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. So when it comes to alchemy, it's about finding that picture element and being able to, do with it as you will, or contemplate it as you will. Because again, you're using a space-time interface just like you're using a graphical user interface to look at the images of your computer or the images that you see on your phone right now. So that's what I'm saying when it comes to alchemy. Now, getting into chemistry, it's the same thing that they're doing in chemistry. It was all about finding what is the most minute element that makes up matter. So again, first they thought it was atoms. Now they want to get into protons, neutrons, electrons, and then they take it to a level of subatomic particles where you're dealing with leptons, quarks, fermions, bosons, and all those different types of particles. But for me, you can simplify this by just dealing with the photon, which is just a light element. It's the smallest speck of light that you can find, or the smallest speck of light that exists. Because now that speck of light is the creation of everything that you can see in this physical matrix. You know what I'm saying? So we're making an analogy between what you're seeing on the screen and then what you're just seeing beyond the screen. And you see how people get caught up in the screen and ignore everything outside of the screen, right? You got a lot of people like that. They on Instagram all the time. They're on YouTube all the time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can't even go nowhere without seeing someone all in their phone or all into, their social media or whatever they're looking at on their phone. You know what I mean? So look at, within a couple decades time, you start moving into a more advanced and more progressed creation where you have your whole life is front of a screen. They even have the goggles now. Like you can go to platforms like VR Chat and they have this metaverse here, with the whole Facebook thing where you put those goggles on and all you're seeing is this rendition of images. So what if you coming into the physical is the same pattern? So you're using this physical to access or understand parts of your mind that, what I'm saying, you're not on the terminal line to see for yourself. So you need this buffer. You need this middleman called the graphic user interface or space-time user interface, as I call it. You need that because you don't know how to read or you forgot how to actually interpret the command line of your existence or the terminal of your existence. So you need this space-time user. You need the physical to access, to understand and interpret your mind. Because I'm going by the maxim, all is mind, universe is mental. That's the first grand unifying theorem, and I talk about that in my book extensively. You know what I'm saying? And then also dealing with the fact that if you're dealing with photons as the smallest pictorial element of your physical reality, then do you have photons that go forward and backwards in space? Do they go forwards and backwards in time? Do they go beyond this level of reality and do they go into higher levels of reality? And then you have to ask yourself, well, what or who is responsible for the way your space-time user interface looks the way it looks? Like, for example, why are you looking at things right now the way that they look? What's controlling the way everything looks right now? So I have a computer, a phone, a light in front of me, my book in front of me, you know what I'm saying? What's responsible for this actual thing appearing in the physical? What's the sign? What's the control behind it? What's the manipulation behind it? What's responsible for having it right here in my face? Or if even going even a little bit more depthical, my physical flesh. Who designed it? Who made it look like this? Who's responsible for that? Why do I have 2 ears instead of 4? Why do I have 1 mouth instead of 8? Why am I 5'10" instead of, 6'8"? You know what I'm saying? To impress women. You know what I'm saying? Why didn't I come here as that? Or appear in this physical space-time user interface as that? And that's a little space right there was for you to, what I'm saying, take that in rhetorically and kind of understand what's behind this space-time user interface. So again, it's always been the alchemical thing to find the, most indivisible picture element or the element of existence. So again, back in my book here, I deal with that one true element because it's that one true element that creates everything else. And we're going beyond particle physics. We're going beyond the periodic table of elements. We're going beyond physics. Because again, what is responsible for producing this space-time user interface? And can you shut it off? Can you turn it on again? Can you alter it? You know what I'm saying? As things happen in front of your face, are you responsible for those things happening in front of your face, or is under some other force? This is alchemy, but it's in nowadays it's under different types of terminologies where they now call it particle physics, or they call it electromagnetic spectrum, or in all these different words, but the alchemy is still here. It's just under different terminologies and ways of your approach. Still here. Alchemy never went it never went anywhere. You know what I mean? So again, what did we learn in this video here? How to get to, and why you should get to, the most infinitesimal elemental picture element, or how should I put it, pixel of the actual physical realm. Because again, if you're not controlling it, then who is? And if you are the one that's responsible for the way that this physical matrix space-time user face is doing what it's doing, then how come you're not controlling it, or how come you lost sight of that you're the one behind it all? Again, get the book, Wholography, The Whole Writing of the Arts and Sciences as One Educational Discipline, by me, Al Achad. It'll be in the description section. Just click on the link. You can also get the ebook version that comes with it when you purchase the book, and you'll get an autographed copy. So again, Al Achad, dealing with alchemical pixels or whatever. Got to get to the bottom of your space-time user interface that you use to navigate your existence.